doubt a showstopper right now is the one and only, no other. Just pulled up, lifted, and persisted, ignoring my voice of reason. I've seen things that I'll never mention. I've seen people do more for attention. Here comes Mr. Know-It-All. I know so much, but I don't listen. Lord knows that I feel that pressure. God, please forgive me for stressing. Just pulled up, lifted, and persisted, ignoring my voice of reason. I've seen things that I'll never mention. I've seen people do more for attention. Here comes Mr. Know-It-All. I know so much, but I don't listen. Lord knows that I feel that pressure. God, please forgive me for stressing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Duan and Only podcast. I'm very excited today. I have another special guest. He is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he is currently the principal here at new Tech Cherokee, Dr. Rubin McIntosh. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. I'm
All
excited.
right.
I'm excited. For all my listeners and viewers, we are here at New Tech right now recording. And let me tell you, I'm very excited that I got this young man, this young gentleman here with me today. How you been since COVID and everything like that?
You know, thank you first for contacting me and you know, inviting me to do this. I think that is great, and I'm so glad to be able to support. And so I must say, COVID-19 has really been a challenge. It's been a huge challenge for not just myself as an educator, but as far as the community, and this is a national, it's a global pandemic, and so there's really no one that has not been affected in some shape or form. I would say the biggest frustration would just be I'm a very social person, and I enjoy building and sustaining relationships, and so knowing that COVID-19, I've had to really rethink that. For example, I'm not able to really have the face-to-face meetings that I used to have with parents and family members, just the way that we're doing everything. We're getting ready to go into the holidays, and you know, you're hearing, you know, try to distance yourself out. And so when we think of a Thanksgiving table, for example, everybody's coming together and sitting close. Absolutely. How can we then have that same ambiance of closeness and togetherness at a time where we're to be thankful, a holiday that we celebrate that togetherness and unity among families? It's very challenging. And Absolutely. So for others, I've known as I have even team meetings, they're now held online, and so we're virtually seeing one another, but it's not the same. And so that's also raised a lot of question when we're talking about we're wanting to grow closer as a team in a time that we're being always the media or the news or our CDC is telling us we need to stay apart in efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
Absolutely, and I don't think a lot of people understand how crucial and how real this virus is. I mean, I've known a few close friends, close family members that have had this virus, and it's really taken a toll on me, emotionally, physically, as well. You know, just, you know, praying for others and things like that. So I definitely understand what you're talking about as far as that goes. A lot of people don't know who you are, and so I wanted to ask you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also who are some key influences that, you know, guided you to your success?
Definitely. So, like I said, I am from Tulsa, Oklahoma, born and raised there. Went through Tulsa Public Schools and graduated, went to University of Oklahoma in Norman, came back, worked on my master's, began teaching. I was with the Tulsa Public Schools District for a short time, also working with the reading intervention program with Reading Partners. Worked on my master's, received my master's, and went through the proper certification for principalship and superintendency. And so came to Muskogee. I'm now in my third year as building principal. Thank you. At New Tech at Cherokee. And, you know, I am a very highly energetic person, very big on family and relationships, even now really helping even other children in Tulsa that are preparing for college and career readiness, specifically at the high school with some of the work that I do. I'm very committed to impacting positive change and wanting to see communities that many might have been written off, society necessarily, or just you know, common man writing others off. And I feel like every child needs someone to advocate for them. Sometimes Absolutely. In the absence of anyone else being there, whether it be maternal or paternal or maternal influences, mothers and fathers, we need someone to there needs to be people that are educators that are wanting to give back, wanting to empower and transform and change lives, because without your education, you limit the heightness or really being able to enjoy a great quality of life.
Absolutely, and no other place to do it right here in Muskogee. That kind of brought me into my next question, because your resume is so rich and so profound to me. I was going to ask, like, what made you choose education over any other profession? Because I mean, your resume speaks for itself. Yeah. So
I believe God speaks to us. And I will say that with my relationship with God and my family, that I was looking at various different fields, and I knew for a while I wanted to go into communications, and then I thought I might wanted to go into management or entrepreneurship and have my own business. And so while going through some of the coursework in college, it just began to be eye-openers. And even once with graduating, knowing that there's a window of opportunities, the only opportunities that really began to manifest were those that were centered to education. Absolutely. And so knowing that starting off as a paraprofessional at an alternative high school in Tulsa as a credit recovery coach for high school students, it just really doors began to open. Then went through the teaching certification process, then became a classroom teacher, then working with intervention, and then program management and moving into administration. And so even though I've had a very fast trajectory, I've always been in college and also working in an educationally centered role. So it's really given me the insight both to look back and then to also engage in the present while I'm helping to make a difference for those in future and upcoming roles that I will continue to pursue.
Well, I want to let you know you're definitely making an impact here, especially here at New Tech Cherokee. Now, I do want to say this. I did my research on this, so I had to make sure I had to look back. And, I'm from Muskogee, so I had to make sure. But I want to say you're the first black male PhD principal here at New Tech Cherokee. And it's so exciting to me because it's no secret that this is more of a poverty, I say poverty, but I want to say more, they don't have the resources as other schools do have. And also, this is a more predominantly black kids school as well. So when they see a black man who has his PhD and he is a principal and he's running it, it makes a huge difference than, no disrespect to my white colleagues, but a white principal that does the same in that manner. Does that affect you at all? Is that surreal for you to, come to school every day and, teach specifically black young males and black young females as well? Does that?
And so knowing how I was raised, knowing the magnitude of the responsibilities that school leaders have today, I would say that, it's equity drives everything. And Absolutely. So, every child should be given a fair chance to be successful, both in and outside of the classroom. And so I work specifically to make sure that I am not only reshaping what perhaps society or history has began to communicate or has communicated to our current trends of today, but every child, no matter the color of their skin, should be able to feel appreciated and should be able to be celebrated for who they are and who they're growing and aspiring to be. And so with that in mind, I make my mind to put on my suit and tie every day to show what society does not always show for black men specifically.
Absolutely.
And many of our young African American students, and even any student of color, whether they be Native American, Hispanic, there may be absentee fathers or father figures in their families. And so I want to provide for them an example that yes, you can make it. Yes, you can be successful. Yes, Absolutely. You can look nice and enjoy the quality, a very strong quality of life and enjoy the finer things in life. However, knowing that you invest in your education, that you set yourself apart, you look the part, you speak the part, you respect and treat others in accordance to the direction that you're headed, and that is for excellence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, when I was growing up, not New Tech Cherokee, but Cherokee as a whole, the school Cherokee was known as a bad kid school.
Yes.
Me and my best friend, before we started recording, we were making jokes about it back in the day.
Okay.
Like, you gotta get forgive me, but you got to get jumped in to come here to Cherokee.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. Like, I know it's
Wow.
crazy. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but you've changed the landscape. You've changed the landscape here at Cherokee, and a lot of people are starting to notice, including myself, because I say that we did that back in the day,
Yeah.
but now that I'm an adult, it's not funny. It's really not funny. It should be. We should get the same education anywhere we go, and you have brought that to the forefront here at New Tech Cherokee. So I appreciate it. And I guess my next question is how did you? What was the steps to that? And could you kind of recite what your mission statement is for New Tech Cherokee?
So definitely, it was an awakening for me. I sat before, when I first accepted the job, was offered the position and accepted and was board approved back in May of 2018. Mm-hmm. And I attended a church not far from where the school is located, and I remember some commentary from a church member that I was sitting there and they asked who I was. I introduced myself, told them I was going to be the new principal at Cherokee. Mm-hmm. And they looked at me, their eyes got big, and they said, "Oh, bless your heart." Mm. And I go, "What?" Yeah. And I go, "But these are children." You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so coming into a school where many times it could have been where you didn't work out, another school site didn't work out, maybe you were suspended repetitively and you ended up being placed at Cherokee for whatever reason it might be. But at the heart of the matter is we had children that are hurting. Absolutely. Children that come from disturbing backgrounds. Many times we will have never experienced what all a child may have seen or witnessed, but every child can and will succeed. That was the fundamental belief, and that is, and even in my office, we not had long bosses day, and they brought into my office it's a plaque that says the best is yet to come, because I always say that you have what you say. There's power in your words.
Absolutely.
We speak affirmation. We speak over our children, our scholars. We don't even call them students. We call them scholars.
Wow.
We had to redefine everything that we did, making sure that our lessons were rich, that the topics that we were addressing are standards, and that every child is being, brought up to a level of excellence that was individualized to them. No two children are alike. Absolutely. No two children may not learn the same. And so we want to be responsive to the needs of the ever-changing student demographic. And so, those are small things that have began to manifest. And so we, have, rather than Student of the Month, it's Scholar of the Month. We've gone outside and developed partnerships. We have a partnership with Boulevard Christian Church, one of the largest, and it is a richly diverse congregation, but nevertheless, our demographic is atypical to the demographic of the population. Absolutely. That's congregated as the church. And so we have had a partnership with them where we have, to strengthen our writing skills, we have a pen pal program where they write back and forth with members of the Boulevard congregation as well as their Christian schools. Students are writing students. Additional for teacher support, there is the Adopt a Classroom initiative where there are families that have adopted a classroom teacher and a classroom and support them over the course of the year. They fund us to have pizza with the principal for the Scholars of the Month as a celebratory measure for those that have risen to the occasion as far as their academics and their behavior is concerned. And then also we have just consistently, they come in and do great things for our teachers to kind of build them up over the course of the year, because as a teacher, we start out really high, but we can, just as we go through, we're human. Yeah. And so by fourth quarter, if we're not careful, we wind ourselves kind of down. We just run down. We got to use the summer to recharge ourselves. Absolutely. But they work to help us along the way to stay high. We have a great amount of support. I would just say that, consistently we had to look within ourselves and make sure that everything that we were doing, and at the heart of the matter for everything, was the student's best interest in mind. And we have come off the failing schools list in 18 months of me being here. The school was historically on that. However, we are working still to improve each and every day. One of our initiatives is we're kind of moving forward. COVID has kind of made us to have to modify some of our implementations for ongoing improvement measures, but we're looking at balanced literacy and really raising the awareness of showing scholars how to really become very efficient and effective readers and writers. We want that if you can read and you can write and you can do it really well, there's nothing that can limit you, and that's nothing that can limit your success.
Absolutely.
And so, we have a creed that we have developed our team, and we speak that, we recite that every day with our scholars. We also have a statement of purpose, and that statement of purpose is very unique to the individual scholar, and it's simple, and it's we're on time, we're on track, and we're on a mission to achieve, and we will succeed. And what do we mean by that? And I asked them, we're on time. That means we come to school every day ready to learn. We have our backpacks, we have our learning materials, we have everything that we need for the day. We're on track. That means that we're making the correct behavior choices, that we are doing what we know scholars should do, and that when there are problems, we communicate and handle our problems and challenges with respect and excellence. And then also we're on a mission. Yes, coming into the school building every day, or if for this year with COVID-19, if you're an e-learner, you're learning from afar, but nevertheless, you're on a mission, and that mission is to get your education. And so we know that, and it says to achieve, and we will succeed. And we know that when we put all of those three characteristics together, you can achieve, and we will be successful. Our creed is centered around one word, and that is the word SOAR. When I first came into the school, I saw there was a plaque, a figurine rather, a statue. It'd be a statue, and it was an eagle. And something that I note that eagles do is they soar. And they soar very high. And so with that in mind, we had developed our creed centered around the word SOAR. And so we talk about that. I even refer to our team as Team SOAR. And that SOAR stands for the S is we strive to make successful choices every day. The O is we overcome obstacles that stand in our way. The A is we adopt behaviors to help everyone achieve. And the R is we respect ourselves in the learning community. And so we talk about that. Every single day, we recite that. We have what's called a call to soar, and that's our morning time where we are all together. And due with COVID-19, now I come on, I record a video. I've been doing them now monthly. So the first of the month, we have a fresh video. And so while they're eating their breakfast in the morning times, they're also engaging in the Pledge of Allegiance, the Oklahoma flag salute, moment of silence, our creed, statement of purpose, and those types of things. So
I don't think people really understand like how important like reciting something positive is.
Yes.
When I went to Sadler, we had a Sadler creed, and just me being an adult now, a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh man, Duan, you just don't have no fear." I was like, "Well, it's not that I don't have fear. I just feel like anything that I do is I'm going to be successful in, and I go in with an attitude of I'm going to be able to succeed." And I believe that what you're doing with SOAR, what you're doing with your creed, is very crucial and is very important to do, because sometimes all these kids have is the creed. You know, sometimes all these kids do have is breakfast and lunch here. You know what I mean? And so when you're feeding them and also nurturing them physically and spiritually minded and letting them know that you can be successful and you can be on time, they might not understand it. Now they might be like, "Oh, Dr. McIntosh, Principal McIntosh, this might not, I don't want to do that today." But what's really going on, and it's going to be instilled in their mind. There is going to be continuously instilled in their mind every single day. Man, I'm going to be on time. I'm going to succeed. I am a scholar. So I thank you. I applaud you for that. I applaud, giving a round of applause for getting out of the failing school system as well within over 18 months. That is incredible. That is monumental. That's epic. So congratulations on that as well. I was going to ask you another question. You came up with the song for the scholars as well. I can't think of the name of it, but you came up with a song. You did it at Boulevard Christian Center, and it was it was centered around this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine.
Yes.
How did you come up with that? And
that was all God. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was sitting out, and it was Memorial Day weekend, and I was just. It just came to me. I go, we really need a school song, you know, and I'm always talking about succeeding, and I'm always talking about Cherokee, and you know, and everything, and it just came to me, and you know, I just kind of ran it over in my head, got with our music teacher, and you know, it is. As soon as we're really able to kind of get together and go at it, that will be how we, you know, we'll add that to our call to soar in the morning times. But yes, it is a scholar. I'm a scholar at Cherokee. Yes, I will succeed. I'm a scholar at Cherokee. Yes, I will succeed. I'm a scholar at Cherokee. Yes, I will succeed. When we believe, we can achieve. We soar indeed. And so very intentional, very specific, and it's narrowed down.
Absolutely.
And yes, I sang it.
I'm not asking you to sing. I'm not asking you to sing, but I just wanted to talk about it.
I did sing it, and I do. And you know, that is it. You will catch me singing that. And I mean, you know, it's just something that we all join in because we know, you know, this little light of mine. And so specifically, and that's one thing too, with the partnership at Boulevard Christian Church, I go back every August, and so during their Back to School Sunday, they normally have me there with their message for that day. And so that specifically was coming out of Matthew chapter 5, verse 16, when talking about just the power of the light and how we are a light and a shine, you know, to shine bright.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, by knowing that, I just want to ensure that the service that I provide here on this side of heaven, that I'm uplifting and empowering young minds, that if it were not for me, if it were not for my team of educators, because I cannot do this work alone.
Absolutely.
It takes every single teacher. It takes every single support team member. And so just as we know about God being that light, that eternal light for us, meaning his light never goes dim, that we are to then go out into the world and to do the same thing.
Okay, absolutely. So I'm going to kind of switch gears here. We just left your Tuesday night meeting with parents and students as they're learning through virtual learning right now at the mall due to COVID. I have a two-part question. How did that come about? And then also on top of that, how is it that how did y'all come up with this? I'm sorry. How did y'all come up with this? And then also, how can parents be more involved, just not on the Tuesday night at the mall, but is there other resources that they can get to so they can contact the teacher for help or anything like that?
Yeah. So in regards to distance learning, in regards to e-learning or whatever it might be, everything since March the 12th, 2020, things for education have looked different.
Absolutely.
And so the way we've had to adapt has been very unique. However, nevertheless, we have been able to make it effective. And so I would say this, the distance learning one-on-one piece really came to the former principal, Ms. Jefferson, who is now the parent and family liaison for the district, who you just met as well. She and I, we had some ideation time over the summer, and we were really thinking about how can we make sure that our parents and family members get really connected and stay and have a place that they can go to for help. And so knowing that we can't really have a lot of outside visitors in the buildings throughout the day, even parents really are not able to walk scholars to class or anything like that. In the absence of all of that, we needed a centralized location in our district that we could really, or in our city, that we could gather and, you know, be socially distant with our facial coverings and all of that, and really be able to provide supports for academics, social and emotional health with our contracted counseling services. Those agencies have come on many nights and been there to help families navigate through challenging times that they've communicated, in addition to technology with the Chromebooks and hotspots. Many times, some of our parents might have not ever used these devices. And so with that in mind, we want to make sure that we're able to help you with logging in and troubleshooting. If your hotspot's not working, we can get it changed. changed out. We can get you on a waiting list for a new one, or whatever it might be to help you out. How to charge them properly. What are some of the best practices that scholars will need to be successful with just establishing a learning location at home, a place where this is your space, and this would be similar to your workspace in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Where you have, in the absence of maybe a desk, but you have a small table, or if it's the coffee table and you're sitting on a pillow, whatever it might be. We want to make sure that the experience that a scholar has here in the school building is that mirrored as best it can be at home.
Absolutely.
And so in the absence of being able to come to school for parents and family members that are concerned with COVID cases and all of the quarantining and things of that nature, that's an option that we also are providing a response that many school districts have not been able to necessarily have. And if they do have something in that format, it hasn't been articulated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And because even when I was there, it was a great turnout. A lot of parents coming in, a lot of students coming in. Shout out to all the teachers that made it tonight, all the principals that were there as well. And it just was like a well-oiled machine. It was like everybody was at the right place at the right time. Everybody was getting the help that they needed. And I mean, for that to be here in Muskogee is just a blessing, and it just amazes me, and I'm excited to see it. Because like you said earlier, and like I said earlier, COVID is real, and we got to really take the precaution steps to make sure that not only are we safe, and that our students are safe, but they're still able to get their education.
Yes.
And I just applaud y'all for that as well. I was going to ask you another question. We'll just keep rolling here.
Yeah, no problem.
With the bond money that is coming in, I just wanted to know if you could elaborate on some of the money that is going to be spent here at New Tech and for the kids and that such.
Definitely. So as you know, when I was speaking about that whole balanced literacy piece and creating those strong readers and writers,
yes,
we have a reading recovery program. And so Cherokee is one of the unique school sites in the fact that professional development for classroom teachers throughout the district will be had here on site in what's called a look-through glass. It's a two-sided glass to create a very live, it's a reading recovery lab. And so reading recovery, it helps first graders, struggling readers, to really be able to grow in 15 to 20 months and reach them even sometimes to grade level and sometimes even beyond.
Wow.
They can enter back into their classroom. It is a tier 3, a very intensive intervention where you're working one-on-one for 30 to 45 minutes per day. Wow. With a teacher that has gone through extensive training and ongoing professional learning for teaching reading recovery. And they go through all the 5 components of reading, being able to graduate out. They have a little graduation ceremony and everything like that. And so that is going to be a live enhancement that's going to be taking place at the back of our Cherokee campus. And so that redesign, some of our bond money will be spent to make sure that we have the proper materials, the proper redesign and workings with our contractors to make sure that that's feasible for a two-way glass where we will be able to look in to see what is going on, and that will help teachers and school principals to really understand what's going on in the lab while it's happening, and so that way it's not causing a distraction or disturbance, but that two-way glass will help our ongoing professional learning needs as a district to be able to then improve and strengthen readers beyond at every single elementary school site.
Absolutely.
Additionally, there'll be some redesign for some of our technological advancements, such as our cameras, whether it be computer software systems, with also just some other features on campus to ensure that the building and the integrity thereof. I believe the foyer area would may have some facelifting as well, just to really bring the campus out, the exterior lighting to really bring out the hidden gem that Cherokee is.
Okay, man, I'm excited. I'm happy for the bond money. I'm happy for all schools to be able to get a facelift. That's awesome.
Yes, it's time.
It is very, very much so. Very much so. Switching gears again. Recently, we just had a flag football league. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that and how parents I know it's past the time, but could you talk about the Flag Football League and then also how parents can be involved and volunteer for the next coming year for their kids to be active in the schools?
Definitely. I have a very strong relationship both with Dr. Parker and Coach Mr. Lou Dawkins. Mm-hmm. They both, Dr. Parker is the athletic director for the district, and Coach Dawkins being over the Rougher Youth Sports Academy. Mm-hmm. And so that is the program that does all of the auxiliary sports for some of our elementary and secondary sites. And so knowing that flag football takes place really around those fall months, and knowing that we're just about to launch basketball here at the beginning of January, I would just say that anyone that's wanting to get involved, definitely reach out to your elementary or your sixth grade center. Reach out to that school site asking about those dates. There will be information. The informational, the parent informational for basketball should be here within the next month.
Okay.
We've had to recently go, in response to rising COVID numbers, we've had to go distance learning for all students, K-12 and so pre-K-12. So with that in mind, knowing that information will be forthcoming, things may look, the wait time might be a little bit different. The season might even be a little bit different, but just remain engaged with your school site. Everyone, even though we're in distance learning, people our team members are still working in the building. It's just that students aren't in the building.
Absolutely.
And so I would just, we took first place. Cherokee did.
I've seen
our fourth
that,
and fifth grade boys. They did an excellent job this past Saturday before last, and I was out there on the field to cheer them on as they received their medals and their trophies. It was a great time. We always, we focus on the academics, but we also should equally focus on some of the athletics as well. And so to me, you want a well-rounded scholar. And in order to have a well-rounded scholar, there's got to be balance.
Absolutely.
Academics, extracurricular, athletics, you definitely want a well-rounded scholar.
Absolutely. No, that's perfect. That is perfect. Dr. McIntosh, it's been great. I have one last question for you. We've already basically talked about what parents can do, but I want to re-instruct that again. Me being a father, I know I have a 4-year-old, but he is at ECC.
Yes.
And I try to be as involved as possible. I've received those calls that at the early childhood center to go out to the mall and things like that, and they just keep us updated. Could you reinforce just one more time for parents that are listening in on how involved they can be, especially right now with virtual learning, and let them know about how they can help change their kid, even though that they're at home, but obviously they want to be at school, and they want to be able to learn at school. It makes a huge difference, but how can they be impactful as well?
Definitely. In a time such as this, COVID or not, relationships drive everything. And so I would just say that make sure that you're staying connected within your school community. Many times there are classrooms school-wide, or classrooms are connected, but there's school-wide communication platforms such as Classroom Dojo, Remind 101, and there may be others. But I know, for example, at Cherokee we have Classroom Dojo where every classroom is connected, and I'm able to send messages to the entire school. Teachers are able to send messages to their class. We're able to connect, send messages to parents, keep them updated. Just also knowing that, take it one step at a time.
Absolutely.
We want to exercise grace with everything that we do. If you're having a problem, make sure you reach out to your classroom teacher. Reach out to the office staff. Reach out to the principal. Let's just all consistently make sure that we're staying on the same page and that you're always clear on what it is that is being expected for your students and your child's education. Also know too that Parent University Distance Learning 101 is a weekly support that unless it's holiday time or some other circumstance where we will come on and we will make sure that we announce a cancellation, but that is a support that is there to make sure that everybody receives supports that they need. I would say when trying to make sure that your student or your child is successful at home, reading every night to them in the younger grades, reading alongside them, and then also having them read to you. Those are 3 ways, if nothing more, we want to impact and make sure that we have strong readers, and they've got to be able to practice in order to be that strong reader. We can't expect excellence when we don't show them that. And so every day we want to make sure that we're modeling for them what those appropriate behaviors are. You know, taking that initiative, knowing what you have, make out a schedule together rather than you setting the schedule of you've got all these 6 lessons to do for me today. Make it together. Put adequate breaks in there. Make time for them to be able to be a child, but at the same time that they know that there are some non-negotiables, as there are in life,
Absolutely.
to make sure that you're going to be successful with your education. Each and every principal, teacher, team member, we're committed to making sure that our students excel. And so we want to just make sure that we have that shared partnership, because we are partners in the education for every child here with Muskogee Public Schools.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Everybody listening and then the viewers here today, I want to tell you guys, Dr. Rubin McIntosh, he is at the mall every Tuesday before school lets out for Christmas break. From 5 o'clock to 6:30, he is there with a group of other teachers and principals there as well, and they're there to help you to get through the virtual learning. So if you're not busy on those nights, please go out there. If it's not Dr. McIntosh, somebody else is going to be able there to help you. They also have Green Country out there for any emotional support as well. Go out there if you know for anything, any family problems, anything like that. You definitely want to go out there. We're there. They're there, not me. They're there to help out, to make sure anything that you guys need, that they make sure that it's covered for you. Dr. McIntosh, I appreciate you being here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing this for me. I appreciate it.
Most definitely.
Before we get out of here, I want to give a special shout out to my elite sponsors, Oklahoma Farm Bureau by Scott Abbott, and Interstate Properties by Holly Rosser Miller. Have a wonderful day.
I am the Don Dada showstopper, right now is the one and only, no other. Just pulled up, lifted, and persisted, ignoring my voice of reason. I've seen things that I'll never mention. I've seen people do more for attention. Here comes Mr. Know-It-All. I know so much, but I don't listen. Lord knows that I feel that pressure. God, please forgive me for stressing. Just pulled up, lifted, and persisted, ignoring my voice of reason. I've seen things that I'll never mention. I've seen people do more for attention. Here comes Mr. Know-It-All. I know so much, but I don't listen. Lord knows that I feel that pressure. God, please forgive me for stressing.